All right, we're back. Mike Yuva, Gamecock Central on 3. Been a year since we've seen you here in person. Thanks so much for joining us. You said it's been a whirlwind. How's Nashville been treating you?
No, it's been good. Second time in Nashville. First time I was here was for the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament. Went down Broadway. Even though we still have, month to go until the season starts. I'm 0-1. Broadway beat me last night. Beat me bad. But it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's always cool to be able to run into people like yourself and be able to catch up with so many familiar faces and names.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to give you a layup here, and I've already seen you make this joke online. So
I wasn't a great lefty layupper, so this might not be great.
So why, of all days, today Tennessee's here, but why did South Carolina bring a punter to this event? You already know the answer, right?
Well, I mean, Kai Kroger, if anyone had an opportunity to listen to him, let's say they didn't pay attention to South Carolina, he is phenomenal. He's a game changer.
Yeah.
And we hear so much about Beamer Ball. Beamer Ball 2.0 is what the program has been starting to promote over the last couple months. But you go back and you look at some of the games that South Carolina was in last year, and the ones that just jump out to me, I think of the Georgia State game week 1. 2 block punts, return for touchdowns. I think of the Clemson game, of course. Kai playing a big role with that, with punting. There were so many games last season where special teams, if one or two things don't go their way from a special team standpoint, South Carolina easily could have finished the season 5-7.
Oh, yeah.
So from a special team standpoint, he is as good as they come. And the crazy thing about it, too, is just that they actually have all their specialists coming back, their starters. They have their long snapper, they have their kicker as well. And I know it gets overlooked with special teams, but it truly is a third of the game. And if you can have good specialists and they're doing their thing, how many times with Alabama over the years, right? How talented those teams were, but the kicking game, it screwed up some of those games.
Yeah.
So I just say that because from a special teams standpoint, and they have one of the best special teams mind in Pete Lembo, special teams coordinator, certainly it's a strong point for them.
Yeah.
But Beamer bringing Kroger, and I know I'm kind of rambling here, but bringing Kroger here, it sends that message, hey, we're not just talking about it, we are about it, and we're going to bring a specialist today.
I'm very disappointed in you.
Yeah, I thought it was the Tennessee one there.
You were supposed to say,
Oh,
because
man.
Tennessee, they didn't even know they had a damn punter after last year.
Here I am, trying to give a really good answer, and you're like, all right, Mike.
That's what I'm saying. It was a layup for you.
Yeah, they didn't get to see Kai last year.
We appreciate the 5-minute answer on the kicker there.
Man, I was just rambling about 5 minutes in special teams.
I do want to ask you, because we've had a lot of folks on here. South Carolina's been a hot topic this week, mainly from Mizzou, mainly from Tennessee. Anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
And one of the most popular takes right now is that if there were a team that needs to tamper expectations, it's South Carolina. Please tell me why they're wrong.
I think where they are right now from a confidence standpoint, and it's not just the team, I'm talking about the fan base, they have higher expectations.
Yeah.
Now, when I say they have higher expectations, does that mean it's the same as Georgia? Does that mean it's the same as Alabama or LSU heading into this season? Certainly they're not. They're not probably where Clemson is, even though they beat Clemson last year. And I know Gamecock fans don't want to necessarily hear that, but that's just the reality. What they're building right now is still the foundation, right? I think back to, because I covered the entire tenure of the Will Muschamp era, year 3 is really when things turn sideways. They had a phenomenal year 2. They had a lot of talent on that team as well. They won that Outback Bowl, but they weren't able to do anything with it heading into year 3.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing for South Carolina, and I've said this numerous times throughout the course of the summer, I haven't put my predictions yet in terms of what their record's going to be. I'm going back and forth between 7 and 8 wins. I think if you can get to that 7-win mark, though, that's still good.
Yeah.
Big thing this year is just continuing to be consistent. That's what you want to be able to show your recruits.
Yeah.
You want to show the fan base. I'm sure if they had 7 wins this year, there'd be some people that would be disappointed, people that feel like the world's coming to an end. But then again, that's SEC football.
Yeah, and with the hesitancy of the 8, there's probably a lingering question. I need to know ABC. Maybe it's the offensive line. Maybe is there something that, hey, if this group steps up and over overachieves, then 8 is very feasible.
The offensive line in particular. I know it's real easy just to look at the running back room, but at the end of the day, I mean, this isn't 1980.
Yeah.
This isn't the 1990s. Certainly you want to be able to have a running game. It makes an impact because if you're a one-trick pony and you're just passing, defensive linemen are just going to put their hands in the dirt, and they're going to know that it's going to be pass, pass, pass. It makes their life a hell of a lot easier. It's kind of like a pitcher who's just throwing fastballs, right? So I think with the offensive line, they have some talented guys. Nick Gargiulo is one guy that's going to get overlooked because he's transferring in for Yale. That kid is an absolute tank.
Yeah.
Finishing first from an offensive line standpoint in drills, and just like he's just fast. He's physical. My old college coach, who's now the head coach at Holy Cross and has done a tremendous job, they had a game plan against him the last couple of years, and he told me once he arrived here, he's like, this guy had no business being in the Ivy League. And he was the only captain of Yale's team last year. So, I mean, he's going to bring some leadership. If they can figure that out early, that's the biggest question. And unfortunately, and no disrespect to the Georgia States of the world, but you don't have that powder cuff game week one.
Right.
You go up against a Power 5 team and a very good team in North Carolina. And I know some Gamecock fans, they want to talk, well, they don't have a defense. That's great.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you need to be able to move the football. And that offensive line and I asked Rattler that. I said, how do you overcome that early on? And he said, it's the communication, making sure that guys are comfortable with what they're doing. And if they can do that, then they'll be able to beat North Carolina. If they don't, then I can see them losing to North Carolina. And that's kind of where that 7-8 mark I keep going back and forth on.
Is that game personal? I'm sorry, Mike. I've always
Go
curious.
ahead, Shane. Go ahead.
I had Rattler here. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Fantastic quarterback. But Mike started off, having him pretty low in his QB ratings. I've been on record thinking Spencer's better than what people are saying. But going into that North Carolina game, they're going against another quarterback that everyone has on top of their board. Does that game, just with your conversations with Rattler, do you feel like it's a little bit more personal because here he is coming into a nurse situation as an underdog, not so much for the team, but as quarterback play?
I'm sure. And, there's been so much made out about Rattler and his character the last couple of years. The guy's awesome. I mean, he really is. You talk to any of his teammates, he's like, this guy is like the ideal teammate. Like, he's always, team first and this and that, like just little things behind the scene.
Yeah.
I bring that up, though, because I keep thinking of a conversation I had with Marcus Lattimore, former Gamecock running back, and we do a podcast together. And one thing that he brought up is when you go into a game, and he mentioned it from a running back standpoint, but I'm sure it would apply with this as well. When you go into a game and you hear so much all week about the opposing running back, right? You're the running back, but you're hearing so much about Team X's running back, it motivates you. So I'm sure heading into this game, they're going to be talking about May, and obviously he's a phenomenal quarterback. That will probably light Rattler and give him that spark. The big thing is, though, and I think he realized it, don't try to do too much.
Yeah.
Be you, right? Be you. And I think with Dow Loggins coming in here, he understands he's not going to try to force things. I think that was the issue with the old offensive coordinator, Marcus Satterfield, that he tried to force certain things with this offense that he just couldn't do. It's like you wanted to cook a steak, but you wanted to cook a cake, but you had steak ingredients. You're a little backwards there. Again, chalk that up to Broadway for the win last night. So I think they have a better idea of who they are.
Yeah.
And Dow Loggins, from everyone I've talked to, Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, that's the other thing, too. You hear so much about people talking about what this guy did in the NFL as an offensive coordinator. I know it's not apples to apples. How was Nick Saban's career in the NFL? Well, he's a pretty good college coach, right? Like, let's give this guy an opportunity first before we say, wow, he was the Jets and Bears. And some of the teams you're mentioning, too, you don't even have to be an NFL fan to know. He was walking into situations that weren't great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the greatest of situations.
What's your confidence level that South Carolina can be more consistent this year? Because I think that's a fair criticism. But like
across the board or offensively, you're just
pretty much across the board. And obviously with Spencer, you have to think the offense is critical. With new offensive coordinator. But aside from the coordinator, like you said, special teams back, defensive coordinator back, head coach obviously, a lot of continuity. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, because right out the gate, we already referenced North Carolina, at Georgia, at Tennessee, and don't forget you just can't completely overlook Mississippi State, even though
No.
that's in Williams-Brice. Those are all losable games if you don't show up and you're not consistent. What gives you confidence that South Carolina can be consistent right out the gate?
I just think from an offensive standpoint, right? You look at all three phases. From an offensive standpoint, they're going to simplify things. And I think with Rattler, we saw that. We heard so much. It's real cliche to say, but it truly did come down to them just simplifying the offense those last two regular season games, to be able to do what they did against Tennessee, to do what they did against Clemson.
Yeah.
And I think with Rattler, too, and he might not say this, but it just felt like when he got to South Carolina last year, again, we talked about it before, where he felt maybe he was trying to do too much, trying to prove to people, like, hey, this is how good I am. I think he didn't have a true understanding of how different it was going to be with the offensive line, some of the lack thereof of talent at wide receiver. I mean, there was certainly some talent, but the lack thereof, especially early on in the year. And I think with Rattler, that clock that you have as a quarterback in your head, if you go back, and especially the first couple of games, and I know you're going up against Georgia, early in the year, and it didn't matter who you put out there at the start of the year. Georgia was going to blow out anybody. He just didn't seem comfortable in the pocket. It seemed like he would escape way too early. He would take his eyes from being downfield to just going into run mode, or he would take off a little bit too late because of his offensive line. It was kind of like, all right, this is what I'm used to at Oklahoma. I should be able to have this extra time. No, okay? So I think the O-line is still, next season it should be very good because you have so much young talent.
Yeah.
The only problem is when you have so much young talent recruiting, doesn't mean it's going to be good right now. And again, that's not to say the O-line can't be good, but it's just a major question mark. But special teams, I think the biggest thing with them is just making sure you don't take a step back. And Beamer, we were talking about it during the pressers today. You have a target on your back now.
Yeah.
Okay, Beamer ball, we hear all that. That's cute. But now, number one in the country last year for special teams efficiency, a lot of fakes in there.
No,
That punter, and defensively just need to stop the run. I mean, it's just if they can do that and they feel like they have been able to make adjustments with that, it's not just the D-line. I think the linebacker room is a question mark in the middle as well.
I like the
I know I'm going all over the place here.
Yeah, no, I want – speaking of – let me just take a quick left turn here. The what do you call it? The damn marketing team on South Carolina.
Justin King and company.
I want to make sure I have the exact name
Sopranos
right.
video.
The creative media department.
These boys need a raise. And is Beamer is Beamer? I mean, is he?
He's
part
their
of
agent.
this?
No.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. It blows my mind because South Carolina. When you look at some of these big recruiting budgets and stuff like that, you got to be creative, and that's one thing that I'm seeing out of South Carolina is just creativity.
Yeah.
Especially for the next chapter. Us old farts, man. Times are changing. I've been trying to figure out.
You don't have to tell me that again. Broadway, they're undefeated. When you hit that 30 mark and you get over, you rebound a little bit differently.
I work on a video so hard, and I get it out there on TikTok. It gets like 200 looks. My daughter comes out with an 8-second cat video, and she's got 10,000. I'm like, this next chapter of marketing and recruiting and stuff like that, it just feels like South Carolina is a couple steps ahead of other programs.
That's what you just said right there is spot on, which is they're ahead of it. Justin King, he was offered this position, I believe, in 2017, late in 2017. He came over either the beginning of 18 or at some point in 17. I might have the dates off a little bit. But from my understanding is that he originally turned the deal down from Ray Tanner. The athletic director reached out to, we want you to do this. Yeah. He turned it down originally. Eventually, after some convincing, he came aboard. And look, and I may have said this on this program before, I've had many conversations this week about it, Will Muschamp away from the camera is awesome.
Yeah.
I ran into him back in Massachusetts. He was recruiting a defensive back at my dad's high school, and I'm up in Boston covering the Patriots this fall. I'm doing both jobs, and I pull into the parking lot, and I see Muschamp there. And, it's kind of like the lights are dim and stuff. So I'm like, hey, coach, don't you have a game tomorrow? Some coach you are. And he gives you that pissed-off Muschamp stare, and then he realized it was me, and we just shoot the shit. It was awesome. But, I bring that up because Muschamp, because of situations that took place at Florida And he felt like he got burned at times when he was opening himself up. And then obviously when things took a turn, that's when things got thrown back in his face a little bit. Because of that, you didn't see that openness. And when you have someone like Justin King, like he goes to Beamer, and Beamer hardly ever says no. Yeah. So I bring that up, and it's not to blame Will Muschamp. I mean, there's plenty of our subscribers on Gamecock Central's message board that will do that every day still. But the thing about it is you need a coach. Like you can have, like the old cliche, like you can have the tools, but you need the toolbox too, right? So like the fact that Beamer lets him do all this stuff, the fact that he works with him like literally hand in hand, Muschamp, it was just a little different. And because of that, because of this relationship, you've really seen things take off since Beamer has arrived. Because he understands it. Going back to that's just where we are right now.
I think that helps him. And the portal, prime example.
Oh, yes.
Yep. I think these kids, that get this one last shot, they want to do it at a place they're comfortable with, and that's again.
And it's
that's
authentic too.
Absolutely,
it's authentic. It's
now,
not
everybody
this
else
used
hates
car.
it.
Yeah,
everybody else hates it. But if you're on that campus and you're talking to these kids, they're in love with their coach.
I think that makes it more beloved by the fans too.
Yeah.
Who the hell cares what everybody else thinks? But speaking of unpopular coaches in Columbia, how bad does Beamer want to beat Eli Drinkwitz in Mizzou this year?
Oh, I'm sure. And I just found out I think I'm going to be heading out to Missouri this year. First time going to Missouri, yeah. Cool. I'd be lying to you if I said that was on the top of my bucket list of places I want to go ever. But, no, look, the bottom line is this. We're talking about that 7-8 win mark.
Yeah.
At least for me, when I look at the schedule, even this past year, that game – it doesn't make sense for South Carolina not to be able to win. Mm-hmm. Okay, obviously this year they have to go out to Columbia. They have to go out to Texas A&M this year as well. I think that's actually back-to-back weeks of travel, which is going to be insane. But when you just look at the game for what it is, right, take the travel out, South Carolina should win that game. However, Missouri, kind of like Kentucky for a period of time, and I'd still say still is, right? We have to see what happens. Can you have that consistency? Can you continue to beat Kentucky? Just beat them once, that doesn't mean anything. You got to be consistent. Texas A&M. Right. Missouri just has been that thorn in the Gamecocks' backside, and it just makes zero sense. Zero sense. The way that they performed last year at South Carolina, give the Tigers credit.
Yeah.
USC, kind of like that Florida game, you look at that, it's just like, how the hell is that the same team that beat Clemson and then did what they did against Tennessee? It makes no sense. So with them, it's just coming out and being the team that they should be. Yeah. Not shooting yourself in the foot, and being the team that they believe they can be, and not this team that just, and that's the other issue, consistency. You can't just turn into a puddle. Right? You just can't turn into a puddle in some of these games that you just expect to win. And I'm not saying USC expects to win, but in comparison to going up against the Georgias, the Tennessees of the world.
Yeah. My last question.
Yes, sir.
Where's a good place to get a chicken biscuit?
Oh, Bojangles.
That's right.
I was like, come on, where's my coupon?
Bojangles, got to feed the boys.
Thank
so
you,
they sent me like 2,300 of these things.
Wow.
The only thing that you got to know.
Ironically, that's how many I had last year.
I don't know how many you want here. We'll just give everyone about like 3.
Thank you.
Just got to use it before the end of the year.
No problem.
Okay.
Again, my Al Bundy moment. That is my Pokai moment. It's all downhill for me from there.
Absolutely. You tried the steak biscuit's not bad either.
I've had that.
Yeah, not bad. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting hungry again.
Yeah. Last question for you, Mike.
Yes.
Really appreciate your time. What Beamer has done in South Carolina is remarkable so far. And I think the best thing for the fans, he snapped a lot of these streaks. Mm-hmm. There's only 2 more that he's missing, Mizzou and Georgia. And hell, no one's beaten Georgia lately. They've been so dominant. So what streaks is it vitally important that that don't flip back the other way? And let's remove Clemson off, because I think that's
I was going to say
an easy answer.
It starts with
I'm thinking
Clemson,
just SEC. Is it Tennessee? Is it Kentucky? Is it A&M? Because a lot of the buzz we hear is South Carolina could be an even better football team, but the record may not reflect it. Could be the same record or maybe even slightly worse, but still a better team because the schedule's such a gauntlet. If there's one game in conference play that Shane Beamer and company really want to keep on their side, what's that one game for you?
I think the challenging part is with divisions going away starting next year, maybe you look at it just a little differently in comparison to how you're looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, I still think if you think of a team like Tennessee, you think of a team like Kentucky, those are the teams where USC is like that. When you look at it and you just lay it all out, right? Get rid of the divisions right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where they are from like a pack standpoint. Tennessee, obviously, and that's no disrespect to the Vols, but my point being is they feel like that's the next step, right? Like you beat Kentucky, you want to continue to go up the stairs. So I don't know where that gap is between South Carolina and Tennessee. Certainly USC had a phenomenal game against them last year. I think Tennessee is a hell of a lot better of a team than what we saw last year. I think we'd all agree with that. But my point being is you're somewhere in the middle of making sure that, okay, we got to take care of Kentucky, but Tennessee's that next team. And again, divisions are going away, so it makes things a little funky, but at least the way you're looking at it right now from an East standpoint, that's the team that you want to be able to finish in front of. And I think as challenging as that's going to be, if you're able to do that and you're able to beat a Kentucky, 2 years in a row, you're able to beat a Tennessee 2 years in a row, now you're able to get some momentum because it's so much easier when you're winning, obviously, right? Shoot, breaking news. What did goodness, I'm trying to think who it was a couple years ago. It's you want to win, you don't want to lose. Remember that phrase on ESPN? It was just like no shit. But if they're able to get up to that point, and now you're able to continue to win against these schools, these are the schools that you're going up against from a recruiting standpoint. I know Georgia's closer. I know there's some other place from a proximity standpoint. But at the same time, too, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, those guys are getting whoever they want right now. Tennessee, they're doing a really good job, but they're not on that level yet of recruiting. You need to do what you can to make sure that doesn't happen. And what's the best way to do that? Beat them consistently.
All right, Mike, really appreciate you. Before you go, tell the audience, where can they find all your work?
Yeah, you can follow me over on GamecockCentral.com, and if you're on Twitter, Mike_UVA.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.